I went along with him and I began explaining the events that led up to me being standing there, which started out about a year back when my father wanted to do business with a Muslim. And how I tried to convert the Muslim to become a Christian, how a Catholic priest got involved in the story, and before you know it, the Catholic priest accepted Islam. My wife and I accepted Islam. Then later my father accepting Islam. But then other things started happening. Our business down by Mexico went bad and somebody ripped off all our stuff, stole our things. I had a brand new Suburban. It disappeared with the paperwork in it and I couldn't trace it because I hadn't filed it yet. It was totally a strange thing. Many things I'm telling him this story as we're going along, telling him what happened. He's going, wow, wow, whoa, wow. Then we came up to a junction in the road. And this road that comes into Texas from Oklahoma splits. And one part goes to Fort Worth, Texas. The other part goes to Dallas. I need to go to Fort Worth. He needs to go to Dallas. There's a truck stop. I'll get out there. He said, do you mind... Really, he said, I just want to hear the end of this story. Do you mind if I just go ahead and take you to Fort Worth so I can hear the rest of it? Again, I have to check my schedule, but it turns out there's this opening and we can go. And I'm still thinking, what is this real? And as we're going along and I tell him the rest of the story and he's going, man. And all that because you came to Islam. I said, well, I don't know what else to say. He said, that is beautiful. I said, excuse me? what part of the story did I miss while I was telling it? He said, you know what? He said, I'm a Reformed Church of Latter-day Saints Mormon. And he said, and really, I'm fed up with my religion. And what you told me about Islam, it sounds amazing. So all he really heard me talking about was the Tawheed, was the answers to the questions that Allah gives you. Is when you come to Islam, the answers are there. But the incidentals that take place in your life, well, those are things that happen in your life. So what? Well, the main thing is, you know there's Allah. And you know everything comes from Allah. It's all going back to Allah. And you've got the real hard evidence there really is God. And that's one of the beauties of Islam. Your heart is in peace because you know it's all from Allah. He said, so all of this is from Allah. I said, well, yeah. He said, that's beautiful. How can I know more about this religion? Well, I said, you know, there's some guys I'm staying with right now. I didn't even have a house anymore. I didn't have any clothes anymore. And so I told him, we're staying at this house. Come on, let's go over here. And we got there, and the brothers weren't back yet. They were at the masjid, but they'd left food cooking. So the food was all on the stove, and when we went in, served him up the food. We sat there, enjoyed a meal together. He said, well, I really have to go. Do you have any pamphlets or anything about this religion? I said, I don't really know what to tell you. But I saw some things laying there from WAMI. You heard of the Nadwat al-Alamin Shabab al-Islamiyya. Well, that's my first exposure to those kind of pamphlets. So I gave him some of those. And he said, you know, I'm going to really look into this because this really sounds like something for me. And I sure do thank you. I really appreciate it. And by the way, he was at least 60 miles out of the way from where he needed to be. But he brought me right to the house. And there was a meal waiting for me. A meal, hot meal, waiting for me. Now, I didn't know that was going to happen, did I? A few hours before, I was standing out in the snow and the ice. And now here I am in a nice warm house, got food to eat. And what a lovely ride I had. And maybe he made shahada, I don't know. But if he did, maybe Allah will even count that as me giving effort to somebody to get to Islam. Now, in this story I just told you, did you see any beauty there? Huh? Or did you just say, oh, this guy had a hard day, and it was really a lot of problems, and blah, blah, blah? What if I had not been there? What if I had not been there? And the man fell asleep and had an accident and died and never got to Islam. What if? Now that's not the qadr of Allah. This is the way Allah wanted it to happen. It happened according to His plan. I'm just showing you though, if you change anything in Allah's plan, weird things would happen. Allah knows what's best. And you say, well, somebody died. How could it get worse than that? Worse? They could have lived. Because maybe they died on the fitra. Maybe they died as a Muslim. Or maybe they died and because of their death, other people will get to Islam. Or at least other people won't leave Islam. You don't know and I don't know. It's up to Him. Isn't it? The non-believer is the one that has the problem. Muslims really don't have that problem. You get upset. You know, my dad died and he did die. But you know what? Because I was Muslim, I understood it. And I cried, by the way. But it wasn't like the kind of crying that would have been when I was not Muslim. You know, oh, why my father? Oh, why this happened to me? No. I was crying like this. I was crying out of happiness that at least he became Muslim before he died. Crying out of happiness because I know, although I'll miss him for a while, we can be reunited in Jannah together. And crying also because I know that this is qadr of Allah, and all of us, we're going to come to this sometime. And by the way, the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when his son died and he was holding him, he cried. They said, even you're crying? And he said, all of us, we have our moment of this. We have feelings, we're humans. So yes, we couldn't cry. Everything that you want to know about your life in general, or your life in particular, is in Islam. Do you like to know how you're created and what's going to be your ultimate end in this earth? Do you want to know? It's easy. Allah said in the Quran, the very first words He told you, Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ عَلَقٍ. Here Allah is saying, and these are the first words revealed, recite in the name of your Lord, the one who is the creator, created the human beings from an alaqa. An alaqa is what? Today, you can ask anybody that's in embryology, and they'll tell you, yeah, it's that little tiny thing that you can't even see with your eye, but it clings to the wall of the uterus inside of the mother, and it forms a blood clot, and it's shaped like that little worm-looking thing or leech that they have down in South America. And by the way, all three of those things are alaq, alaq, alaq. And Allah described it before people had microscopes. Before people even knew that human beings didn't start out as little teeny people that just grew up big inside of their mother. And Allah described all the trimesters. Allah described all the shape, being in shape and out of shape, like a chewed lump. All of the things that Allah speaks about of you being created are in the Quran. And then your final outcome, where you'll be. He tells you everything along the way, but the ultimate is kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut. Every soul will taste death. Yeah? Wow. What do you want to know? Do you want to know about the creation of Allah? And He tells you about the universe. Do you want to know about the earth? And He talks about the earth. And the sun and the moon, it's all there. Where? In the Quran, the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much proof do you need? What does it take for you to catch it? He's given you everything. There's the owner's manual, not only for the human being, but the entire universe. What do you want to know? What you need to know? It's there. It's there. But the most important thing of all is to know that you can communicate directly with Him, and you do not need an intercessor. You don't need to go through a human being or an animal or a piece of wood or a statue, but you can use your heart.